So, we're talking about health and well being. And when it comes to mental health and well being, this is a topic that really hits home for me because personally, in my family history, there's a series of mental health issues, starting with my grandmother, which was passed down to my father. And, I've always been hypersensitive to the fact that it's a hereditary deal, and I need to personally check in with myself often to make sure that I am mentally balanced and well. And thankfully, I am. Hopefully, that will continue to be the case. But it's one of those things that a lot of us in this world are challenged with, going through not only the challenging times that we find ourselves living in, but on top of that, some of us are just chemically imbalanced. And it's just a fact. And you know what? I've come to understand from Spirit, it's okay. And if you are chemically imbalanced, it's really important that you seek professional help and that you potentially get the medication that you need to come back to a balanced, even place. So I want to share with you a group reading that I just did. And this really was one of a kind. I've never experienced a group like this because it was a family who came in of 7. And it sounds like a little over a couple months ago, the son of this woman and his sisters were there, and his aunt and father-in-law or stepfather, they came in, and he was young. He was in his early 20s. I'll call him Max. That was not his name, but for the sake of privacy, his name is Max, and he died by suicide. And we went really in depth into why the suicide happened. And what he showed me, he kept doing this. Like he was overwhelmed and he was out of his right mind, and to forgive him and not blame him, because this was not him, his soul choosing this. This was him being possessed by a dark energy or an entity, because he was so chemically imbalanced, not on medication, did not seek out the help he needed. And unfortunately, the dark energy attached onto him and manipulated him. So this really comes down to addressing 2 main topics. Number 1, dark energy is real. It exists. There is a lot of different types of energies that we can call in and channel. I only work with the positive energies of love and light and truth, but there absolutely is evil and dark energy. And that is why spiritual protection tools are essential when you do this work. Even when you don't do this work, every day we should all be praying, calling in the love and light of God, God's presence. As long as you're doing that and, setting the intention to be held in this space of positive energy, you're protected. Okay? Darkness does not like light. But number 2, this again addresses that mental illness is real. And so for those of us who might be mentally ill or chemically imbalanced, and we're not taking proper measures to take care of ourselves, mind, body, spirit levels, we are way more vulnerable and susceptible to dark energy. Those, in terms of poltergeist, demonic energies, are drawn to vulnerable human beings. They're drawn to spaces that have low vibrations, such as bars, dark, any old, haunted type places that the energy is dark and has not been cleared. They're drawn to anyone who's using substances and they have a weakened aura. So it's easier to get into the bubble, to attach on and hang on to their energy. So that's why energy clearings are really good with energy healers. Sometimes it comes down to needing an exorcism when you are possessed by a demonic energy. So in the case of Max, he came through, and one of the sisters said, what did you do to contribute to this? And he shared with us. He said, I did not get the help I needed. And I was so far down the road, and it was such a snowball effect over the course of years that I was so dissociated from my body, meaning he was outside of his body, which means he wasn't in his power, that he was susceptible and allowing the dark energy to incorporate into him and manipulate him and do things to harm himself. And so he then brought up, it was the places he hung out, and I asked if he was in college. They said yes. And I said he was at bars and places where he was more prone to be psychically attacked. And he hung out with people that were not necessarily in integrity. And so all these things added up. So one of the sisters asked, what can you teach us from your perspective from the other side now? What can you share with us that will help us to stay in the light and to avoid going down that same dark road? I thought that was an amazing question. And the answer was to raise your vibe, to do things that bring you joy, to light yourself up, whatever that looks like, to protect yourself, to hold yourself in light, to call in the light, to pray and fill and surround yourself with the presence of God and guides and angels. He was going on and on and on, because if you're in the light, the darkness disappears. It cannot and will not stay around you. It vanishes. And then he also said to do things that light you up. And I'm blanking, but whatever it was all about stay connected to the intention of love and light, which I equate to God, because God is love, right? And then you will be okay. Oh, and the other thing he said was get the professional help you need if you are or suspect you might be depressed or have mental illness of some sort. Because he had said, had he gotten that, he would have been balanced in his right mind and potentially would not have been psychically attacked and manipulated and allowed this dark energy to incorporate into him. Finally, at the end, he said to his mom and stepdad, you need to light more candles, and I see a fireplace with burning a lot of fire because it represents calling in the light. And they said not only do they do that all the time, but I guess this man works in a business with firewood and fireplaces. And so he said, we do it all the time. And then I said, do you carry a lighter around with you in your pocket? And he pointed to his pocket. This man does not smoke, but he carries a lighter around because it's the nature of his business. But I told him this was their way of reminding you to stay in the light. And in that sense, you're helping your son and the soul of Max to continue to make peace with himself, his situation, to heal and evolve in the spirit world. So I want to share that with you because it was a powerful session to remind us that dark energy exists, but light exists. And light is always more powerful than dark. And we always, as human beings or spiritual beings in a human body, have more power over discarnate beings. Always, always. So all you have to do is recognize your power, own your power, and use it to call in good and to stay in the light. With that said, as always, I am wishing you brightest blessings and all love.